Red. Red, red, red. Red final.
We're ready to begin with the student athletes from Iowa State. We have student athletes Monte Morris, George Niang. If you're in the work area and would like to come ask questions, we're going to open it up to questions for our student athletes.
Okay, Chase Shannon, Fox 16 in Little Rock. Monty, you're going to have a tough assignment tomorrow guarding Josh Hagens. What did you notice? I'm sure you were in attendance watching that game. What did you notice from Little Rock, and what do you see in him in particular?
That he's a tremendous player. He's capable of making tough shots, and he made tough shots down the stretch. You know, it speaks a lot about what type of player he is, having 2 points at halftime and coming through in the clutch when, you know, to add 29 in the second half. But, you know, he's a great player. We just going to have to slow him down and come out victorious. You know, it's going to take a unit to slow him down tomorrow.
We'll come right to you.
Yes. Back here, Kyle Duckelbaum at Channel 7 in Little Rock. Kind of a matchup of different styles, isn't it? I mean, how have you guys been able to assert your tempo in teams that you've faced this year who play a little bit slower?
I think the biggest thing is making things difficult for them. They do a good job of getting the ball side to side and getting the defense rotating. So if we can, you know, slow that down and make them have to step out further and get out of their comfort zones when we're versing the ball, you know, hopefully get them to turn the ball over. Which is going to be tough with Hagens. You know, he does a good job of controlling tempo. But if we can speed them up and get them out of their place, you know, that can really help us and change the tempo of the game.
Myron Metcalf, ESPN. For Monte, I saw you live in Kansas City last week. You didn't look like the same guy with the shoulder issue. Saw you yesterday, and you looked like, you know, you were back to normal. How did you feel compared to last week with the shoulder?
It was like night and day. I felt probably about 95% yesterday, and opposed to probably like 65 at the Big 12. Like I said, we got a great training staff, and I'll take my hat off to them to get me back, you know, feeling healthy. And we just gonna continue working on the shoulder and see how the results play out.
For George, just getting the win in the first round, how much of a relief was that, considering, you know, what happened with this team last year?
Yeah, obviously, like I talked about yesterday, obviously that stinging feeling of going out in the first round is something you want to get rid of. And I think we did that. But, you know, that was yesterday. The past is in the past. You know, we got to prep and get ready for a really good Little Rock team. You know, they really stick to their guns and really know how to win games. I mean, any team that can win 30 games, I don't care who you're playing, that's a tough challenge in itself, and they've done that. So we're going to have our hands full with them, and that's what we're focused on. Whatever happened yesterday is in the past. We need to focus on what's ahead of us.
Other questions?
Hey, for the both of you, Nick Grove from the Denver Post. When a game breaks, your first round game was kind of more like a normal game. Little Rock's broke open. It was wild. When a game gets wild, do you try to sort of bring yourself down and get a little bit more grounded? Do you ride it like a wave? How do you handle when a tournament game gets crazy?
I feel like we got a core group of older guys, you know, with George, Abdul, and Jamil being the seniors, and even Naz on the bench. I think we got a lot of experience, so we know when to speed it up and when to slow it down. So I think with the experienced guys around us, I think that's when we're able to dictate moments to push and when to slow it down.
To be honest, I think it all comes down to, you know, obviously, like Monte said, having experienced guys, but when you have a great point guard like we do, who doesn't feel speed or ever gets sped up, never turns the ball over, I mean that's the biggest thing. I mean, he controls the whole game, and he's done a great job since I've been here, and I'm sure he'll do a great job next year. When you have a great point guard like we do, I mean, we don't really worry about those type of situations because he handles it with poise, and he's a great leader.
George, some guys were getting oxygen on the sidelines in other games. How much did the altitude affect you and Monte in that game?
Man, they got the hookup, man. Oxygen. It was tough the first media. You know, you really started to feel it. But you know, we knew we had to battle through. We knew we weren't going to let altitude slow us down to achieve our goals. I mean, I know it's tough, and I want to say it's more of a mental thing, but I mean, it's March. I mean, you don't work this hard to blame a loss on altitude. So that'll never come out of my mouth. You just got to grind it out, and it's how bad do you want it?
I'm good. Yes.
With Coach Prohm coming in from Murray State, a lot of success at a mid-major school. What kind of things has he told you about, not taking a mid-major like Arkansas Little Rock lightly tomorrow?
This for both. Obviously, since Coach came from Murray State, he knows what it's like to come from a mid-major and really get to NCAA tournament. And, that takes a lot of grind and grit. They don't have the luxury of being able to lose in their conference tournament. So he said they're all in. Those type of guys are all bought in, and they have great teams. And the biggest thing with them is they're playing at a unit when it comes into March. So he preaches the biggest thing is, are you guys going to stick together when adversity hits? Are you going to come together as a unit and grind out stops and score the ball? Because teams like Little Rock and other mid-major teams, they may play in a smaller conference, but they're bought into each other. They're bought into the bigger goal of advancing. And I think some high major teams lose the sight of that, and that's not a good thing, and that's how teams get beat. And I think we're beyond that. I think we have a bunch of experienced guys in this locker room that are just want to win. So anything that we have to do to win.
Monte, you want to respond as well?
I'll just say that Little Rock, they might not get the publicity that we get like on ESPN and those things. So if you was on that other side, like me and George is on that team, and we had the opportunity to take on a Big 12, powerhouse like us, we're gonna give it our all and try to play our best that night. And I feel like that's how they're gonna come out. Like they have a point to prove, and they not wrong for doing that. So we just got to come in focused and try to stay in the moment and try to advance to the Sweet 16.
For Monte, we don't hear a lot about Matt Thomas, but he guards A.J. English. Yesterday, he's guarded guys like Buddy Hield,
Yep.
Big 12. How important has he been defensively for this team?
I think it goes underlooked a little bit. That guy worked so hard this summer. Early mornings with footwork after we done went hard for an hour and a half in the weight room. He'd go out on the court, do ladder drills with his feet, lateral quickness. So I think I take my hat off to him, and he's been shooting the ball well with Naz going out. He stepped up and filled in the role, and I think the sky's the limit for Matt. He still got so much more growth, and he's going to continue to show that.
Anything else for our student athletes? Okay, we'll dismiss them at this time. Thank you, gentlemen. We're ready to begin with Iowa State coach Steve Prohm. Coach, congratulations on your 94-80 win over Iona. You next take on Little Rock on the 4:10 p.m. Mountain Time game tomorrow here at the Pepsi Center. If you give us some thoughts on your upcoming match tomorrow.
It's a great opportunity for our guys and our school and these players. The opportunity to go to the Sweet 16 is a great thing. We've got to beat a really good basketball team in Little Rock. Anytime you win 30 games, league, low major, mid major, high major, you've got a really good basketball team. Chris has done a great job, especially just being there 1 year and assembling a roster, and he's really maxed those guys out. Terrific defensively. They've got a great toughness about them, and so. But our guys are ready. They're ready for this moment. They're really locked in and more focused than they've been all year. So we're really looking forward to tomorrow.
Thank you, Coach. We'll now take questions. We're back to the right, Coach.
Hey, Coach Chase Shannon, Fox 16 in Little Rock. What kind of similarities do you see in your first season at Murray State and the season that Coach Beard's having at Little Rock?
I hope the one similarity is that they lose the second-round game. I hope that's the main one. I think of their team. I compare them a little bit with that first year. A great run through your conference, some great non-conference wins, and then you get on a national stage and you prove everybody that you're worthy of your accolades. That's why I said anytime you win 30 games, that's remarkable, especially at the mid-major level, high major level too. But just Chris has done a great job. The one difference was I kind of inherited a roster at Murray that I was there as an assistant and became the head coach. Chris walked into a brand new situation where, he had a couple really good players in there, and then he brought a couple really good players in there, and he's giving those guys worlds of confidence. And they won games early, and it's funny, you look back and you see some games early that they won. I remember our first year we beat Southern Miss, in double overtime. You have to win a game or two like that to kind of get your guys' confidence and belief. And, you look at their schedule and the games they won non-league, they played really well, and they played a good schedule as well. And so, they've done a great job. He's done a tremendous job, and I love their toughness, and I love their spirit.
Let's go right here.
Coach, Purdue matched up real well with Little Rock, basically for 3/4 of the game, and then it got wild. How much of your preparation for this game is working on matchups, schemes, whatever it is you normally do for a game, and how much is trying to control the craziness? Can you even control the unpredictable parts of the tournament? Do you even try?
No, you can't. You can't worry about that stuff. I think what you can worry about is just your team and getting them right on both ends of the floor, offensively and defensively. We watched the Purdue game again when we got back last night. Obviously, they guarded Purdue a certain way. Purdue was big, then Purdue ended up going small. And Purdue was in control of the game, up 14 with 4 minutes to go. And then Little Rock's pressure really bothered them. I hope our guard play, Monte, George being his skill level, I hope that gives us an ability to handle their pressure better. Whether we play big, small, we don't have the size of Purdue, but we can space the floor, we can spread you out, we can do some different things offensively that Purdue may not be able to do. Purdue's the Big Ten physical, big guys in the paint. And so, Purdue was in great shape, 14-point game, but then Little Rock, when you win that so many games, those kids believe they are going to win. And they kept coming, and then Hagen's made kind of March shots, I call them, where he just, how'd that one go in? And he rose up to the moment. But we'll be ready. We've been defended so many different ways this year. You almost got to wait till the game starts, see how people are going to defend you, and then adjust.
Myron Metcalf, ESPN. Coach, you've been in the postseason as the underdog. Now you're on the other side of things where I think a lot of people expect your team to win tomorrow. What's the difference in just, how you feel being on this side?
It's great being on this side from a standpoint of, for a lot of reasons. Being at Iowa State is a blessing. Being in the Big 12 is incredible. It's an unbelievable league. The one difference is we are the favorite. Both teams will be crushed if they lose, but the mid-major, you're going out there and you're just throwing all your punches, and whatever happens, happens. Obviously at this level, You expected to win, and you'd be beyond crushed if you didn't get there and you didn't max out. And you know, it's I wouldn't trade this position though. I wouldn't trade this position for anything. I think our guys are ready. Our guys are focused. It's a neutral floor, so great respect for both teams. I think both ways. And now we got to go play. And you're not worried about conference affiliation when you're playing out there. It's just Iowa State and Little Rock.
Kyle Duckelbaum at ABC7 in Little Rock. What do you make of sort of the high that this team is on, Little Rock? I mean, the talk of the tournament, at least day one so far. You've been there. What do you make of that high watching from afar?
Going through it is some of the best times of your life. But I know for our team tomorrow, if we can win at 6:30, it'll be the best time of our lives. And so at this time of year, winning in this tournament is so special. And it's so tough once you get, especially into the round of 32. The first round is hard enough. To advance to Sweet 16 is extremely difficult. And so, you know, what Little Rock's got going on right now is extremely special. Those kids are very deserving. They've earned it. You know, Hagens, like he said yesterday, I heard a quote, been waiting for this for 22 years. But we got a lot of guys on our roster waiting for this moment too. I've been waiting on this moment since, you know, my team last year. What happened to my team last year? What happened to my team 4 years ago or 3 years ago, whenever that was. And so, you know, it's good at, you know, we're not getting a lot of pub, Iowa State. But that's good, you know, because maybe we got too much pub early with all the newness and all the change to, you know, maybe it puts a little chip on our shoulder.
Go ahead.
We don't hear a ton about Matt Thomas, but he got at AJ English. He's matched up against some of the best guards in the Big 12. How important has he been, especially defensively, for this team this season?
He's been great. Obviously, Buddy Hield was amazing in the conference tournament. But before those two games, we did a great job on Buddy. Did a great job on Jared Uthoff. I thought for the most part we did a great job on English. You know, he got some things in transition. He's a great player, so he's going to make some plays where we didn't get our ball screen coverage right. But Matt's been really solid for us this year in so many different ways. You know you can count on him. You know what you're going to get from him. And then he's made shots at a really high clip, and we're going to need him to shoot that well tomorrow. And you know, he probably won't guard Hagens though tomorrow, just because, you know, Hagens' size and quickness and being a little smaller guard than a Buddy Hield or English. Those guys are a little bit bigger. Matt matches up with those guys a little bit better, so we'll probably guard Hagens with somebody different. But he's been terrific for us.
Coach, apologize if this was already asked, but just kind of the challenges of playing 2 games in 3 days with somewhat of a short bench. I mean, I imagine that's kind of gone through your head quite a bit, and you have a plan and whatnot, but what are the challenges with that?
You know, these timeouts are so long. I was just talking in there in the back. The timeouts are long. We don't play if we win, if we're fortunate and blessed to win. We don't play till next Friday. So if these guys got to play 36, 38, 39, 40 minutes, these guys will be ready. We didn't do much today. I think it all right now is about your mental state, making sure we're totally focused on the job at hand, and that's winning and being really prepared. So I don't think fatigue will be a factor. Little Rock does play 9, 10 guys. They throw different lineups at you. We've played 6 guys a lot this year, but we can play 7 and 8, you know, a little bit. But, you know, if it's 6 guys we play tomorrow, they'll be ready to go, and they'll leave everything out there on the floor. I don't think that'll be a factor in the game.
Anything else? Okay, thank you for your time, Coach.
Thank you.
afternoon. The states in America. So what's it right next to?
It's like, you know where Italy is?
Yes.
So you go east of Italy, across the sea, you're gonna have Albania, and you go like northeast.
Hey, Liz, man, can you do me a favor? Can you just repeat exactly what you said to her? Like that description of where Coach goes?
I can't anymore.
Do it, man. You don't even think about it. Just
Okay, I know. We went from Italy east across the sea.
That's the sea over there. You pass the sea, there's Albania. You go up north, east, coast.
So is it cold?
I mean, right now, probably, but we got 4 seasons. Check it close.
I think you take an airplane.
You know, we ain't good, because she doesn't know what.
I mean, I know where like Spain is. I know where
Spain is like
Germany
all the way
is.
over here. So it's Spain right here?
Yeah.
Also, it's like,
Well, you know, at least we know where Arkansas is. That's all that matters. Oh, the Baylor guy, that was hilarious. That was the best thing ever.
what was it?
Well, did you see Tifo? Well, you also saw it on Instagram when the Yale guy got dunked on, and they're only a nerd for that for like a technical off or like a foul off of the dunk. I still can't believe he won, but that's the back edge.
Yeah, that's me. I know you have to do. It's okay, we know.
But I did have VCU winning, and they won today. I have Virginia win the whole thing. Yeah, I used to work in the ACC. I hope so. Heck, if you guys, I don't know, there's the email out for it.
Texas, don't.
Where do you, where's the Sweet 16?
You think it's wrong here?
Yeah, were you guys getting oxygen with sunrise? No, they mentioned it to the Iowa State guys, and they said some people were, but I didn't see if they got oxygen.
Breathing was hard.
Well, the second half you didn't really feel that. You were making all them. And the thing is, it takes like a few days for it to like actually settle in. It takes about a month to get used to. Just drink a lot of water.
Make sure you sit where your name's at. Thanks, Josh. That's really helpful.
Could hurt the press conference, man.
We're ready to begin with the student athletes from Little Rock. We have student athletes Josh Hagens, Liz Shoshi. We'll now take questions for our student athletes.
Josh, you wake up this morning, you're on the cover of USA Today, you're on the front of ESPN.com. How cool is this?
It's awesome, but at the same time, we came here for a reason. We're on a mission right now. It was really important for us to wake up this morning and just really focus on Iowa State. So, everything that happened yesterday, we appreciated it. It was a good team win, and everybody stepped up. But, we're already on to the next one. So.
Yeah, how do you sort of keep that edge? Because, Coach Beard's always talking about how you guys have an edge and you like the underdog role all year long. How do you sort of keep that now that everybody is talking about you?
Bottom line is, we always play with a chip on our shoulder. You know what I mean? We're a bunch of guys that really didn't get the same opportunities as everybody else. For a lot of us, I think, for all of us, this is our first time here. And, we just want to make a statement, you know what I mean? And the bottom line is we came here to play, we came here to win. And, that's our goal right now.
We're here, right, guys?
Myron Metcalf, ESPN. Josh, when you guys are down double digits with 5 minutes to play, what was the conversation like with your teammates? What were you saying to them? I mean, how were you guys kind of preparing for that final run?
I mean, we just fight, man. Bottom line is we got a lot of guys that don't have any quit in them. if you're gonna win a game, you got to believe you can. You know, there's nobody on our team that didn't think we were gonna win that game. We got a lot of belief in ourselves, and we just kept playing. We caught some breaks, and we were just able to make it happen towards the end. You know, Liz hit some big shots, Kimmy hit some big shots. Our whole team stepped up. You know, it wasn't like a one-man thing. So I mean, this team, man, we just got a lot of fight to us, and we just kept coming. That's all we did.
You guys have been. We're off here.
Go ahead.
You guys have been so balanced all year, but oftentimes when a mid-major team makes a run, it's because some guy starts playing out of his mind. You sort of feel that way, Josh?
That's a tough question. To be honest, man, I just, I tend to step up when we need it. You know what I mean? Our team, that's not called for every night with us. You know what I mean? We've had nights where Rogers had 30, where G's had 30, where Liz has stepped up and had double-doubles. We're a complete team, you know what I'm saying? We really don't care who gets the credit or, who gets all the accolades, this, that, and the third. We just play together, and that's really hard to find in college basketball. And that just speaks to our maturity and our composure as a team, and, I just love playing with these guys.
Myron Metcalf, ESPN. By most accounts, you guys have already won, regardless of what happens tomorrow. How do you maintain that drive going into this game, that you used to win the game against Purdue?
I mean, what happened yesterday was awesome, but we're done with it. We enjoyed it last night, and now we're getting focused for a really good Iowa State team, and they got really good players. So we're just trying to get ready for them, and see what happens Saturday, and we're just trying to get ready and fight.
For both players, when you play a team like Purdue, the inside-outside attack is a pair, with the big men inside. There's an Iowa State team that's really spread out. How do you adjust to that? How do you defend a team that has so many shooters at all positions?
I mean, I'll leave that to our coaching staff, and they do the scout, and they gave us a game plan, and we got to execute what they give us. They've been doing that all year. They've been doing such a great job preparing us for the game, and we just got to believe what they give to us, and we just got to execute tomorrow against a really good Iowa State team.
Good answer. Good answer. Right there. I like it.
Appreciate it. I'm getting good at this.
Other questions?
You talked about, obviously you celebrated last night. I mean, at what point did you kind of refocus and say, all right, we got to get ready for what's coming Saturday?
Pretty much as soon as we woke up this morning. We woke up, I think, about 9 o'clock. 10 o'clock, something like that, and went straight to film. We ate breakfast, went straight to film, and you understand, we got a really good team that we're about to play. The team is a little different than what we played, before, but we just got to get ready for them, and we're gonna need our best 40 minutes Saturday.
Let's go right here.
Josh, Monte Morris at least is going to be guarding you, he was saying, and I assume you're going to have a piece of him also. Can you talk about him and what he brings to Iowa State?
He's a fantastic player. He's averaging, I think, 14 and 7, second team all Big 12. He's very versatile. He knows exactly what he's doing. Got a lot of composure, and he's a point guard that a lot of guys, in college respect. You know what I mean? He's very talented, and it should make for a really good matchup.
Over here, right behind you.
Trey Shapp with 103.7 The Buzz. Josh, for you and Liz, you guys all during the season represented Little Rock. Now you're getting recognition not just in the state of Arkansas but nationwide. How does it feel to be representing the state of Arkansas as the only Division I team playing this time of the year?
Josh answers that because he's from here. I can't talk about that.
We really don't look at it like that. It's not like it's us versus any other team in Arkansas. We play for the city of Little Rock. You know what I'm saying? When Mr. Conkey did the rebranding, I think it was all about Little Rock, the city coming together. And we play for that city, and we're just trying to make everybody proud, man. They put a lot of time into what we've been doing, and we've invested a lot of time and energy and effort into this whole season, and we're just kind of glad it's paying off.
Arnie Stapleton, Associated Press. Liz, can you speak to the challenge it is to face George Niang? He's been a bit of a nightmare matchup for a lot of teams because of his ball handling and that kind of thing.
I watched him play before we knew they were going to play him, and we watched the scout today, and he's probably top 5 players in the country right now, and he's really good, and it's going to be a tough matchup for me and for our whole team, but you know, players like that, you got to stop them as a team, and you cannot just go one-on-one with them because they're really good.
Go ahead.
J.P. Pelsman from the Record, New Jersey. This is for Liz. I know what Josh said. He's right. A lot of guys made big shots yesterday, including you. But when you see Josh make some of those shots like he made yesterday, just rainbows, ones with hands in his face, how does it inspire you guys?
Like, it's not the first time, you know. Our first away game at San Diego State, I know you guys saw that, but that's where it all started, hitting those step backs. And then we went to Tulsa, then he had like 3 of those step backs too. And like our whole team knew that just give the ball to Josh. You know what he's going to do. He's going to go step back from the half court. We all know he's going to hit it. So we were like, okay, we're going to overtime. Just try and get a stop and just go to overtime.
Alex Halstead, Scout.com. Josh, Iowa State plays at a faster tempo. You guys a slower tempo. What's the key for you guys to try to dictate the tempo and not let Iowa State play at its speed?
I mean, we just can't get sped up ourselves. You know, a team like that, they try to get up and down. We just can't be one of those teams that try to play like them. We got to be ourselves. And if you ask us what our style of play is, it's just to win. We understand that in college basketball, championship games are not necessarily played in the hundreds and 90s. But, you know, it's from around the 70s and the 80s. If we can keep it around there, we give ourselves a chance. But, you know, if we let them get up and down and get those 30, they average like 30 fast break points, I mean, we don't have a chance. That's not our game.
Hi, Liz. Lindsey Jones from USA Today. There's 3 European big men left in this regional. I don't know if you know Sabonis or Podol at all, or have watched their games, but what is it about the European style of big men that's maybe different than guys that are raised in America that you've noticed since you've been
I don't really know. Like, we might be, we focus on the skill a lot over there. You know, we just shoot a lot and skill. That's about it, I guess. And you know, that might be the only difference, but not really. I don't know.
Better watch it right there.
Huh? I don't know, Sam. Tough question.
Other questions?
That was a crazy finish, obviously, you know, the last 5 minutes, but you're still down double digits. What do you have to do tomorrow to avoid that scenario and to keep the game close so you don't end up in that situation again?
I mean, we're at a point now where you're playing the best of the best. There's 32 teams left, and every team that's left is good. So bottom line is you can't have spurts where, I mean, you're going to make mistakes, obviously, but you can't have spurts where, you just kind of blank out. You're not really focused, especially with Iowa State, because, if you go 4 minutes where you're not really locked in, they'll mess around and score 20 points in that 4-minute span. They're a fantastic team. They're really good up and down, and we just got to lock in for 40 minutes. Like I said, it's going to take our best 40 minutes Saturday to get the job done, but we're up to it.
Anything else for our student athletes? Okay, we'll dismiss them at this time. Thank you, man. We're here with Little Rock head coach Chris Beard. Little Rock moves on after an exciting 85-83 double overtime win versus Purdue. They will take on Iowa State tomorrow in the first game at 4:10 p.m. here at the Pepsi Center. Coach, if you can start with talking a little bit about your matchup tomorrow.
Well, we got a lot of respect for Iowa State's program. I coached in the Big 12 for many years. Coach Adams on our staff now was in the Big 12 last year, so we're familiar with their team. Just from a basketball standpoint, just a fan, I love to watch games. at night, and I've watched Iowa State play 2 or 3 times. In my opinion, it's one of the best coaching jobs in the country this year to follow what Fred Hoiberg did, and for the new staff to come in and win at this level and get back to the NCAA tournament with a high seed, I think is maybe one of the best untold stories in college basketball this year. We'll have to play very well. We'll have to play our best 40 minutes of the season, but that's what March is, and so that's our objective, and that's what we're going to try to do tomorrow.
Thank you, Coach. Now take questions. Go ahead.
Trey Schapp, KBZ in Little Rock. Chris, you represent Little Rock throughout the entire season. With the success you've had, it seems like the whole state of Arkansas is jumping on the bandwagon now. Do you feel like now you're representing more than just Little Rock in the capital city?
Yeah, and that's awesome. We take a lot of pride in that. I think first of all, we're representing a lot of people that have been with us from day one, not just the people that are jumping on now. Those are the people that we're really appreciative of, our season ticket holders that believed in us before we'd ever played a game, our student body, the other sports, the students on campus, our administration. The city of Little Rock's been awesome. And those of you that have been to Little Rock, you know it's the capital city of a great state. It's a great place to live. We got a great school, and we've always just thought, why not us? Why can't we have a team that can be in the NCAA tournament every year? And to me, there's no reason we can't. And we're really proud to be here this first season, and we look forward to competing in a lot of these tournaments in the future as well.
Let's go here first.
Kyle Duckelbaum, Channel 7 in Little Rock. You always talk about how these guys play with a chip on their shoulder. Now they are the talk of the college basketball world. So how do you sort of keep that edge with them?
Just tell them the truth. Last night when we got back to the hotel about 7 o'clock, we had a little bite to eat. We gave the guys 2.5 hours, and I said, hey, guys, enjoy it. Get on your phones, watch TV, call your girlfriends. Just enjoy it. When we get back here at 9:30, we're back to business. And then at 9:30 last night, we just embraced the process. To us, the biggest game of the year has always been the next game on the schedule. Tomorrow will be the biggest game I've ever coached in because it's the next game on the schedule. And our players have really embraced this idea. And I have a lot of faith and confidence that we'll do that. It obviously is a challenge because it's a special time, but we've got some experienced guys. Even though we're kind of new to the national scene, even though it's our first year, understand we've got 4 seniors and 7 juniors, and these guys have been waiting their whole lives for this moment, and I think we'll be ready.
Let's go over here.
Coach Eddie Pels from AP, along the same lines, how do you keep them from looking at this and yourself as once in a lifetime?
Yeah, just again, one day at a time. One book that I read to every team I've coached all the way back since 1999, and my first head coaching job was The Precious Present. And it's a book about the most valuable advice you could ever give somebody is to live in the present, not the past, not the future. I think in these moments, obviously the past is awesome because we just beat Purdue to advance to the second round of the NCAA tournament. Obviously the future is going to be good because we're all going to reflect. These guys are going to get a championship ring from winning the Sun Belt Conference. We're going to hang a banner. There's going to be a lot of good things in the future. At our banquet this year, I bet we're probably going to have steak and lobster, not grilled chicken because it's been an unbelievable year. So there's a lot of things in the past and future, but right now is the precious present. Right now is an opportunity to advance to the Sweet 16. Right now is an opportunity to live to play another day. And so, the other thing I told the guys, yesterday, growing up as a kid in Irving, Texas, I played basketball all the time. I loved it. It was my life. We'd play at Northwest Recreation Center. And when Northwest Rec wasn't open, we'd play at Conflans Park. And as a kid, I always just remember just wanting to play one more game. The rec center would close at 10 o'clock, but sometimes the lady that worked the front desk, she would let us stay. Hey, guys, play one more game because I got to clean up the rec room. And that was like the best news in the world. We get to play one more game. And at Conflans Park, we could only play till it got dark. And so I remember the first one of us that turned 16, we learned how to pull our car up there and put the lights on the court so we could play one more game. Eventually the cops would come and tell us we had to leave, but it's the whole idea of one more game. That's why today's special. One more press conference, one more practice. And tomorrow we get to play again. And so our objective is to win tomorrow so we can have one more day after that. And I think our guys are really embracing that idea.
Right here.
Chris, this is Lindsey Jones from USA Today. I know you touched on this a little bit in your press conference here on Wednesday, but how did the Knights, both Bob and Pat, kind of shape your coaching philosophies, especially when it comes to defense? And have you heard from Bob this week since this kind of run began?
Right. Coach has been great to me from the day he hired me. I learned so much from him. He basically gave me an opportunity. I was a junior college coach, and he gave me an opportunity to coach in the Big 12. A lot's made in my relationship with Coach, but equally important is Pat Knight. You know, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Pat Knight. He was a friend. He was a mentor. He gave me an opportunity to be the associate head coach at Texas Tech when Coach retired. I learned a lot from those guys. I learned the idea of preparation. Look, everybody in basketball, every level, wants to win. You ask any player, any coach before a game, anybody would say, yes, I want to win. Nobody would say they didn't want to win. But only a few people want to prepare to win. And I really learned about the whole idea of preparation from Coach and Pat, among many other things. But I'm very proud to be associated with that family. I'm proud of how we won, following the rules, doing it the right way, and I'm proud of our academic record. I'm proud of our relationship with our players, and a lot of the things that we do at Little Rock today are based on my relationship with Coach Knight and Pat Knight.
It seems so often when these mid-major teams make a run, it's because some guy is just playing out of his mind. But you guys are so balanced. I mean, do you get the sense Josh is really going to be that guy, or will we continue to see the balance?
Balance. I mean, we won the conference championship in New Orleans to get the seed to this tournament, and Roger Woods was the best player on the floor. A couple of games before that, it was Marcus Johnson. A week before that, it was Maurice Hill. And so yesterday was Josh's moment. But balance and unselfishness is the identity of our team. We've got 4 or 5 guys that can average in double figures. We got 4 or 5 more that can get it on any given night. So yesterday was a special moment that Josh embraced. But there was a lot of other things going on in those moments. There was guys passing the ball. There was guys screening for Josh. There was guys spacing the floor. And there was 13 guys believing in Josh in that moment. So I give Josh a lot of credit, but I also want to give our team a lot of credit for making moments like that possible.
Coach Nick Roque from the Denver Post. Similar question from earlier, but I'm sure you're focused on this game, but has the bigness of the tournament crept into your bubble at all? I mean, you have most of the country now rooting for you. I mean, in the present now, has it come to you at all? Have you checked Twitter or watched TV? Have you noticed the largeness of the tournament?
No, I haven't. I'm just a one day at a time guy. The media in Arkansas, they kind of getting tired of hearing it, but that's just who I am. You know, it's a process. I study Nick Saban a lot with Alabama football. I obviously was around Coach Knight every day for 8 years, and I believe it's a process. The reason we beat Purdue yesterday started way back in the spring with the way we recruit, the way we work, the way we do things right, the way we teach our guys and hold them accountable, the way our guys put in time in the gym. That was a product yesterday of our process. And so today, right back to the process. Specifically with Twitter and my phone, you know, it's another story in my life, chapter 36 here. I turned my phone off yesterday at 11 a.m. before the game. I turned it back on yesterday about 8 because I wanted to check on my youngest daughter, Margot, who's not with me here. Avery and Ella are. Margot's with her mom. And my phone had completely blown up. So, I mean, like just destroyed. So I have no text messages, no calls or anything. I have no idea who contacted me. So if any of my friends or family or recruits are out there, I'm not getting a big head. I'm not turning into somebody else. My phone's not working, but I hope that you'll text me again and so I can thank you for the text. But if anything, I think it was maybe the big man upstairs taking care of me because it really eliminated distractions, and I wasn't really thinking about my phone last night.
Go ahead.
Chris, a couple of your players and assistant coaches over the last couple of days have talked a lot about your halftime speeches, and not just the punching the dry erase board, but about the kind of it's a routine thing for you. Where did that come from? How do you kind of come up with what you want to say? What's your typical demeanor like during those speeches?
It was a combination of a lot of things, but the first coach that gave me a chance to coach at the Division I level was Vic Trilly at the University of North Texas. He hired me as a young, unproven assistant, and I learned a lot from Vic. One of the things I learned from him was just the power of giving your players everything you got every single day. I think as coaches, I've heard some guys say, well, you only got a couple of bullets or a couple shots. Do I give the speech today? Do I give the speech tomorrow? And Coach Trilly was never like that. He's like, you got something on your mind, you bring it every day. You can motivate those guys every day, every day. And so I'm not a big believer in like motivational speeches per se, but I am a big believer in telling the guys the truth every single time we talk. And so if that's perceived as a speech, so be it. But really, every time I talk to my guys, I try to give them every benefit of every doubt. Coach Trilly was one of the best I've ever been around, though. He used to play John Travolta's Staying Alive before games, crank it on the stereo. You know, that Travolta walking down the street with just the toughness and the swagger and the confidence in that movie. That was one of Coach Trilly's best. But no, I just believe in telling the guys the truth every game. I don't want to be one of these guys that just like doesn't try too hard or worries if you do too much. To me, no regrets. If we're going to do it, let's do it. I would never have a regret in life by saying, well, I coached these guys too hard, or I gave them too much information, or I was too hard on them. I would never feel that way. But I would regret it if I said, hey, I didn't coach those guys hard enough, or I didn't give them enough information. So that's where all that comes from.
Any other questions?
How about this Iowa State matchup here? It seems like conflicting styles here.
It is in a lot of ways. Iowa State's one of the most explosive teams. I think they're second and third of all college basketball in like offensive efficiency. You know, one of the first things we do in preparation is we like to look at the other team's fast breaks, their transitions. Most times that's anywhere from 8, 12, 14 clips maybe. I mean, in last night's game, you know, they had 30-something breaks. And so it's pretty obvious what they're trying to do offensively, push the ball up the floor. That's going to be our first objective. And then they just have some special individual players in the half court, and they space their offense with NBA spacing. So we got a lot of challenges. On the offensive end, we're going to have to find out a way to score against them as well. But I'm not sure what we're going to do yet. I just hope I know by about an hour before the game tomorrow. But we're continuing to work on it. If anybody has a suggestion, I know there's a lot of basketball people here, let me know in the hallway.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you
Coach.
very much.
Yakapurtle.
We're ready to begin with the student athletes from Utah. We have student athletes Brandon Taylor, Jordan Loveridge, Jakob Pertl. We'll now take questions for our student athletes.
Kyle Goon, Salt Lake Tribune. Jakob, obviously everyone wants to know about this matchup with DeMantis. What have you kind of seen about him, either on film or obviously you guys played a little bit over the summer?
I think we can all agree on that he's a very talented player, especially in the post. I'm definitely gonna look forward and take on the challenge. He's very aggressive. He looks to run the court, duck you in. He can drive and shoot a little mid range. So he's a very versatile player, and gotta do my best and take away whatever I can. And I know I'm gonna get some help from my teammates.
Carter Williams, Deseret News. This one's for Jordan or Jakob. The front court in general, Sabonis and Wilcher, I believe they average around 38 points a game this season, so they've been very productive. And they can stretch the floor a lot with their shooting ability. So what are you doing to prepare for a matchup like that?
The biggest thing, we're trying to figure out ways to limit their touches. And then just making sure, guys that aren't scoring as much, we can help off them and try to make them kind of beat us and not let those guys just be comfortable and do the things they like to do.
Go ahead. Myron Metcalf, ESPN. For Brandon, Eric McClellan helped them lock up a really talented player in Isaiah Whitehead. What do you guys have to do, to deal with the perimeter pressure that he's been able to put on different opponents that they face?
Well, you just have to keep your composure. As being a guard and the rest of our guards, Jordan, Lorenzo, Kari, Isaiah, we just have to be tight with the ball, and he was an excellent defender last night, and it's really more so you look forward to a matchup. You just know you have to be poised as possible, and you have to be tight with the ball at all times.
Go right here.
This is Lindsay Jones from USA Today. A question for Jakob. Sabonis was saying earlier this week that he's played you before, I believe, in some international competitions. What do you remember about those matchups? And then just in general, for the two of you guys who were kind of raised in European basketball, how do they raise centers over there? How are you guys taught that's maybe different than guys that you maybe see and now play against in the States?
First of all, yes, we played in the summer and in a national team competition. Well, I don't know about him, but me in Austria, I just growing up, my coaches focused a lot on my footwork, on the basics, stuff like that. I even got to play a little wing and guard in some games just to get used to handling the ball, working on my footwork, make reads out of the game. And well, I don't know how centers get taught here, but that's just kind of how my basketball career started.
Go ahead.
Kyle from the Tribune again. Jakob, did you ever watch Domas's dad, Arvydas, either in Europe or in the NBA when he used to play? Have you seen any clips of what he was like?
I've seen some highlight tapes, but I've never really watched him, and I don't think that it really has anything to do with DeMontis, because he's gonna go his own way and do his own thing, and he's the player he is, and he's a very talented player, so that's who I'm focused on.
Just a quick follow-up. When you're talking about your footwork, why is that so important for a big guy and the way you play?
I feel like it's just one of those basics. It's the same thing as passing, dribbling, shooting, the hook shot. I use my footwork to get myself into a position where I'm able to score and maybe get around a defender, and I'll quick him. It's really, for me, it's just one of the basics that if you want to be a good post player, it's something you gotta have.
Brandon, Pat Kinahan, Zone Sports Network. Obviously, the last couple games, turnovers have been a little bit of an issue. What do you got to do to make sure that those things are under control against Gonzaga?
Well, like our coaches always said, is see the pass before you make the pass, and that's something that we have to. At the end of the day, if we want to continue to move on in this tournament, we have to control our pace and we have to take care of the ball, and that means being fundamentally sound, and that means getting back to the basics of basketball, and that's what we've been doing like these past days of practice. Even before yesterday, it was getting back to the basics. That means 2-foot jump stops, seeing the pass before you make the pass, and not being so loose and careless. So if we can dial that in, and it starts with the guards. It starts with the guards taking care of the ball, and if we can dial that in, we'll be in good shape.
Brandon and Jordan, I was wondering if you saw anything specific, just drilling down on how Isaiah Whitehead played against Gonzaga yesterday. If you saw anything specific that they did that made him uncomfortable shooting the ball.
I mean, from what I saw, he's a great player, all-around great player. And sometimes, I know they definitely defended him really well, but I felt like there were some shots, he maybe had tired legs or I don't know what it was. Just some nights, his shots aren't falling, but you can't. You got to give all the credit to Gonzaga. They defended him well, and they did a good job on him.
Jordan, Gonzaga is one of the better programs in the West. During the course of the season, you have any time to watch them play at all on TV?
A little bit. I mean, we'll see highlights here and there, but it's kind of hard to sit down and watch a game. When you got school, basketball, we're focused on, our season. It's tough to sit down and watch other teams play.
Brandon, I'm sure you've watched film, but what do you kind of see in your matchup with Josh and what you can utilize one-on-one with that?
There's really not a lot of one-on-one in our system. It's really more. It's a lot of together basketball. It's a lot of play the game inside out, and take what they give us, milk the post as much as possible, then once he's getting doubled or what's going on, I have to be ready to shoot. I have to be tight with it. I have to be tight with it, and I also have to be aggressive. I think that's one of the main things in this tournament for me is to be aggressive, and be tight with the basketball.
Go ahead.
I want to just follow back up on that, Brandon. Just looking at the tournament, you guys are a real strong front court team, but the tournament usually you see guards going off all the time. So how do you look at that matchup and make sure your guards, are the guards that go off if that happens?
Well, I mean, it's really we play our game. We don't really focus too much on we got to go off this game or anything like that. I think if we go into every game with the mindset of being aggressive and doing what you do and not trying to get outside the box, because that's where I think you kind of mess up, where you try to think so much and you start to think offensively. You need to do this, you need to do that. I think for me personally, it's just I'm gonna continue to play my game how I play, and however points I end up with or how many steals or assists I end up with, that's what it is. I can't really control any of that, but as far as being aggressive, that's what I will be.
Josh Furlong, KSL.com. This question's for any of you. Earlier in the week, Larry said that he'd watched a lot of Gonzaga games throughout the course of the year and kind of feels really comfortable with scouting them. Do you feel there was a different approach to this game now with what your coach has been telling you? Do you feel like you have a better idea maybe than you did going into Fresno State?
I think we have a pretty good idea of what's going to expect us before almost every game in our season. Our coaches do a tremendous job of scouting our opponents, and we usually work a lot on it during practice before the game and then get the game plan dialed in. If they know Gonzaga even better than other teams, that's just good for us, and they can prepare an even better game plan. It's hopefully going to be an advantage for us, but the important part is that we can dial it in and actually play it out on the court and follow that game plan.
Anything else? Okay, we'll dismiss the student athletes at this time. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
We now have Utah coach Larry Krystkowiak. Utah moves on after an 80-69 win over Fresno State yesterday, and will take on Gonzaga tomorrow in the second game. Coach, just gives us some of your thoughts on your matchup tomorrow.
How about if we tackle it in the form of questions?
Okay.
You guys can get
Go right to
specific.
questions. You bet.
Thank you.
Questions for Coach?
Staring into the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know nobody can see us out here. This is Eddie Pels from AP. I don't know that you have, I'm looking for the whole history, but obviously your first year at Utah was not real pretty. How did you stay with your plan and believe that you could get to where you are now?
Well, you hit a couple of big words. The stay with is the persistence and consistency, I think. I said 5 years ago when we assembled the staff and put everybody together, that was a common question, is how long is it going to take to turn it around? And we never put a time frame on it. We talked about recruiting good guys, the two things that we said when we started the program, and I had the staff together for the very first meeting when we got everybody together was, first thing is we're never going to cheat, because I don't want to be held hostage by any kind of situation that's out of our control. And the second thing is we're not going to recruit any turds. And we've stayed pretty true to that, and trying to find some solid kids. And, one of the questions that I've been asked recently is, how did you turn it around so fast? I'm like, man, when you do the math on it, it's about 1,800 days. So it didn't seem real fast to me. And it's been consistent in how we wake up every day and we try to get better. I do that myself and our team, and you figure out a way that you can enhance your players' development, your team functioning, off the court situations, whatever it is, and you kind of clean the clutter off of your desk at the end of the day, return the calls you're supposed to return, and then you wake up and you do it again. And if you we call it chopping wood, you just stay after it, and there's going to be some ups and downs throughout the course of time, and you hope that when you put that pencil through the graph, it's consistently kind of trending upwards, and that's where we've been at the end of 5 years. So trying to stay true to some of those principles.
Right here.
Josh Furlong, KSL.com. Larry, obviously the big matchup tomorrow is Pirtle versus Sabonis. After watching the tape and after what you've said, how you've watched Gonzaga a lot this year, how similar are they, and what are your expectations going into this game with the two?
Well, I'm really curious. I'm as curious as you, The thing that we focus on is getting our guys prepared, and that's where I've gained a great fondness for our team as we prepare them, and you try to have a game plan, and they've done a tremendous job executing that game plan. And it's really hard to predict, but that's certainly a storyline within the game that's going to have a lot to do with the outcome. How they guard him, how we guard Sabonis, and collectively, how it all plays out. So I also don't want to be misconstrued. I don't have a really good idea what Gonzaga does. I think I was making a comparative statement between them and Seton Hall, of which Seton Hall I really didn't have much of a clue at all, and at least I've managed to catch a few games throughout the course of the year, and obviously know the staff at Gonzaga and from my time at Montana. We played them, so it's a little bit more I can grasp what it is they're trying to do and how they play. But certainly we're still breaking a bunch of things down and trying to get a better idea for what it is that we need to focus on.
Back here on the left.
Pat Kinahan, Zone Sports Network. Larry, Wiltshire's an inside-out guy. With Kuzma and Chapman, I'm not asking you to give away any plans, but do they have the agility and the length maybe to go outside and guard him and also inside?
Well, that's the $1 million question. It's what makes him a difficult matchup, and that's why he's been as successful as he's been. I used to say the same thing about Charles Barkley when people would ask me who the toughest person to guard is. It's a guy like Charles because he's strong, and if you put somebody as strong as him on him, he takes you out on the perimeter, and typically that person can't keep up. And if you put somebody that can keep up on him, he'll find a way to post you. So that's what we're seeing a lot with Wiltshire, and the versatility is provided a lot of productivity for him. He's a tremendous passer, and it's problematic. It's one of the things I'm curious to see how it plays out myself. I certainly hope those guys will be able to handle themselves, whether he's inside or out.
Do you have any idea that the 2-seed Michigan State lost?
Yes, I was told that. Yeah. Probably be the last thing I would expect, but it really is that's the definition of this time of year. It's absolutely crazy. I know that Middle Tennessee State's a heck of a team, a heck of a coach, and I wouldn't have wanted to play them. It's not all about Michigan State, but I think, that's a team that's good. They defend. We were talking about it this morning on the bus, but anything can happen. Obviously, I'm stating the obvious, but the numbers kind of go out the window, and it's tough. There's been a few of them. Won't be the last. I had a gentleman last night tell me a little side story. Came up and said, "You're the coach of Utah, right?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "I sure hope you guys win tomorrow." And I said, "Well, why is that? How are you tied into it?" And he said, "Because I know if you win tomorrow, you'll be an easier team for us to beat to go to the Elite Eight." And I said, "Well, I think we both have a little meat left on the bone. And what makes you so sure you're going to get to the Sweet 16? And he said, "Well, haven't you been watching college basketball?" And I just kind of dismissed it. I said, "Obviously, you've been drinking, right?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Okay, well, good luck." So I'd like to run into him today at the hotel and see how he's doing.
I was wondering if the issue of turnovers, is it almost like free throws? If you harp on it, maybe it gets into their head. How do you approach it to make sure that you don't approach the numbers that you've had the last couple ball games?
No, it's a great question. I think there's a number of different types of turnovers. Certain turnovers are palatable. We can handle them. 3-second call, maybe an illegal screen, something that you're trying to do something, proactively that you get caught. And those are also ones that you can defend, where the ball stops, they take it out, go back, get your defense set. Last night, we had live ball turnovers that led to baskets, 28 points for Fresno that we can't defend. This is the time of year where teams are really good, and you have to eliminate the easy ones in the form of transition baskets and in the form of rebounding. Otherwise, it's problematic, and it's Russian roulette. You're going to put yourself in a tough way. Fortunately, we were good enough in other areas last night. But it's true. If you talk about it all the time, we need to be more fundamental. We worked on it in our practice session just now. Seeing the pass, repetitions of doing that kind of stuff is important. Slowing down, but Fresno's a different style team too. And we couldn't simulate it in our practices, but we saw the numbers. One of our coaches brought it to my attention that Fresno had scored 104 points in their previous 5 games off of their opponent's turnovers. And you do the math, it's like, wow, that's 21 a game. That's a lot. And one team had 27 and one had 25, and we as coaches were almost chuckling, like hearing those numbers, and we looked amongst ourselves. It's like we can't beat Fresno if we do that. And we worked on it all week, but you can't work on some of the athleticism and the style that they play with stripping the ball and caving in on help and doing some things that maybe Gonzaga wouldn't do. A little more of a Pax mentality, squaring and not reaching and doing those types of things. So lo and behold, we gave them their highest output. And so, I don't think Gonzaga is that type of team. It's not that we're, going to not talk about not turning it over, but I don't think it's the same mindset, say, if we were going in and playing West Virginia tomorrow. It'd be something that we would probably have to address a little more completely than we are right now. There you go, more March Madness. Buzzer beater.
That's correct.
Coach, do you find it odd, or I'm not sure what the emotion would be, that when we get like a legitimate matchup of legitimate big guys, that's almost seen now as a novelty, where 20 years ago it was, Tuesday? It
was the norm, yeah. Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing that changed is the advent of the three-point shot, when that was added. I mean, when I played in college, we were one of the first conferences that experimented with the three-point line in the Big Sky, and I forget which conference out east did it too. And then when that was on, I mean, it was really hard to get the old-fashioned three-point play, but coaches still recruited the heck out of it and tried to pound the ball inside, and meant more foul trouble and that type of thing. And what's happened now is, there's the 4 men are almost always play away from the basket type of guys, play away 4 men, stretching the floor. The threes add up a heck of a lot faster than the twos. And so the chances that you run into teams that have, dominant big men in their positions playing in the game against each other is probably, doesn't happen very often. So it certainly is that, the game has changed. And I think even when you throw into play that, I would say overall, people generally feel like the backcourt is what allows you to advance in an NCAA tournament. It's a guard-laden deal, and typically the guards are the ones that shining, and we need some of that to happen as well. But this is pretty unique, having a couple true 5 men, throwback 5 men back to the basket guys that are the heads of their respective snake.
Josh Furlong, KSL.com. Both teams yesterday had 20 turnovers, and you both got a win. And you've talked a lot about fundamentals this season and how you try to get that. How do you simulate that in practice, especially when it's not a game session, to be able to just get better and not make those same mental mistakes in a game situation?
Well, what we've done, a couple of things. You break it down into some parts. We put some of our scout team, kind of turn them loose as far as some energy goes. We did it in practice this week, where we asked guys to be jumping out in passing lanes and doing things that we don't do. It's not part of our identity, so it's hard to simulate, as I said. You can always add an extra guy. If you want to really rev it up, get guys sped up, it's like a press breaker 6-on-5, where there's 6 defensive guys, and you basically put everybody that has the ball in a situation that's got to get through a double team. I think that's a productive way to do it as well. We did some drills with our guards, where we had 1 guard with the ball and 2 defensive players trying to strip him, and he had to get from one side of the court to the other. I just think it's skill development. It's part of it's a mindset. Did some overplay passing drills, some backdoor drills, and different things. But it's hard to accomplish, and popcorn starts popping in a building, and momentum changes. And I've always thought that the turnovers are a little bit, they get a little bit magnified. They're bigger, and then with that momentum, it's hard to kind of stop the bleeding. So we've tried a number of different things.
Right here.
Carter Williams, Deseret News. Coach, how much have you seen out of Kyle Wilcher, and how difficult is he as a player to guard or coach against?
Well, he's really different and difficult. As we talked about, he's a solid post player. If you put somebody that can keep up with him, and he's a tremendous three-point shooter with range that you don't find very often in college basketball. And with that length, he can get a shot off, over a lot of defenders on the perimeter. So I've been watching him for a few years now, and does a lot of damage, and confident player, and has provided them with the great spark. So it's not going to be on any one person. We've got to have a a multitude of guys that are locked in and focused in on trying to stop him. I think it's a little bit like the game of baseball, where if you keep throwing the same pitch, you're probably going to get yourself in trouble. So we'll try to switch some things up from time to time and give him some different looks.
Anything else? Becker? Okay.
You talk about Sabonis obviously being a premier interior player, but he can step out a little bit and take the shot and make the shot from 15 or maybe even 16, 17. Jakob doesn't do that as much. Defensively, how comfortable is Jakob going out, if he has to be on the perimeter a little bit more than maybe he's been used to?
Yeah, a little bit like last night. You know, it was the same thing. Edu, I can't remember the five men's name last night, but that was kind of his game too, that mid-range 15, 18-foot shot. So, you know, every player in this tournament's got weapons and strengths and weaknesses, and that's one of 100, you know, situations that you talk about. That's part of the scouting report. You've got to be able to go out and close out and make sure that he doesn't get off that shot. So, you know, that's all part of our personnel. There's probably 8 to 10 little notes with these players, and our players are supposed to study it. And, you know, it comes down to a little playground basketball. You can't overthink it. When it happens, you just need to make the best play and know it's not always going to be perfect. If he hits it, you know, that's how the points add up, and that's why we play the game.
Okay, thank you for your time, Coach.
All right.
We're ready to begin with the student athletes from Gonzaga. We have student athletes Demantis Sabonis, Josh Perkins, and we'll now open up for questions for our student athletes.
Myron Metcalf, ESPN. For Demantis, we talked to Jakob Poeltl about your matchup. He said in a friendly game over the summer. What do you remember about your two teams facing off and the skill set he had?
Well, he's a very, very talented big man. He had a great game against us that summer. I know tomorrow night's going to be very tough. It's going to be tough to stop him. I'm going to have my team to help me out, and I'm just really excited to play.
Yeah, way over the right, guys.
For Josh, I know a lot of your teammates have been here before. For you, it's your first time. You getting out on the court yesterday, getting the reception you did. How much was the butterflies had to get out, and how you feel now?
I think they made it easy for me. Hearing that applause, it felt good. From the get-go, I had good vibes, and I'm just glad we came out to win yesterday.
Zach Braziller, New York Post. Demantis, your dad came over and played, obviously, in the States in the NBA. How much did the experience he had make you want to come to college here?
Well, my dad didn't really had a big part in my decision. My parents really let me make my own decision and what made me happy. So yeah, basically I decided myself to come here.
What made you want to come here?
Just the environment, March Madness, just the big arenas, the teammates, basically the environment. I just love the NCAA basketball.
Over here.
Kyle Goon, Salt Lake Tribune. For both you guys, a lot of Utah players kind of expressed that they felt like maybe they were playing themselves with some similarities personnel-wise. Do you guys feel the same way as you prepare?
I'd have to agree. Good guards, great big man. They hit the pick and roll. They play pick and roll well. Like you said, it's a similar team, and it'll be a fun matchup tomorrow night.
Yeah, overall they're a very talented team. They got good guards. They find their big man in the post, hit them in the pocket pass. It's going to be a fun match. It's going to be a really tough battle.
Carter Williams, Deseret News. Demantis, this matchup with Jakob, and you've already discussed a little bit about it, but the front court matchup, what do you see out of Utah's front court altogether?
They're very talented, very good group of guys. They're very physical. Go offense the rebound very well. They're really tough. It's going to be a tough battle for me, Wilt, and Ryan Edwards.
Zach Braziller, New York Post. Josh, I know you didn't play, but you were around the team, obviously. What's the biggest difference in Demantis from last year to this year?
He has a much bigger role this year. He's our guy, and we survive on him. He plays hard day in and day out, and I'm just happy to get a teammate like this. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow night in this matchup.
Josh, you look at the NCAA tournament, I'm sure you guys watch and whatnot, but it seems like guards are usually the ones that control it. And you guys are a little bit of the opposite. You as a guard, how's your role on a team where you know your best players are down low?
Like you said, I know who to get the ball to at what time, and I have the best front court in the country with Domas and Wiltshire. So it's my job to get them the ball, and they trust us as well. So if they're not open, they'll kick it to us, and we'll make the right decision for them. But like you said, you got to feed them a two-headed monster. So now why not feed it?
You guys have now won 8 first-round games consecutively. Does that historical legacy of this program, does that motivate you? Does that weigh on you? How do you kind of treat that?
Well, I only found out about that yesterday after we won. So basically, I don't know. We just come out together as a team, and we just want to win. So I don't know. We never really thought about that.
Yeah, going back what he said, I found out yesterday as well, but it just says something on behalf of our coaching staff and the players they recruit. We buy in, and then they get people to buy in. So it's a great program, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Zach Brazil, New York Post. What do you think, Demantis, what do you think is the biggest challenge Jakob presents for you, and how much are you looking forward to facing that challenge?
Well, as I said, he's very talented. he drives the ball really well. It's going to be tough for me. I'm going to have to stay out of foul trouble. They're going to feed it. They're going to feed the ball. I'm on the block a lot, so got to try and keep it out of there to keep me out of foul trouble. And I can't wait for tomorrow. It's going to be exciting. It's just going to be an awesome opportunity to play against him.
Thomas Steflo with the Seattle Times. Your coach has said that you have done a much better job staying out of foul trouble this year. What has helped you do that? Like, what have you been more aware of, or things that you've done differently?
Just basically our team defense. It's been great. We've been in the gaps. It's just been a team effort, and that just puts me in less situations where I can get some easy fouls, and also just like trying to keep the ball out of the post.
Josh Furlong, KSL.com. You guys both talked about the similarities in playing Utah. Both of you guys had 20 turnovers yesterday. I mean, what's your guys' message, and how do you kind of get more turnovers from them, but also limit the turnovers that you guys have?
I think a lot of our turnovers yesterday were on our own fault, so we just got to work on it and control what we can control. But like you said, we're going to do what we can to stay in the gaps and create turnovers for the team and create points off their turnovers. But if we turn it over, we're going to do a great job of getting back and limiting points off turnovers. But vice versa, we want to do the same thing for them.
Yeah, as Josh said, I think a lot of the turnovers were our fault. Some turnovers that we usually don't make. So basically, that just depends on us. We got to play more tougher, more confident. And on the other hand, on defense, we just got to be nasty and be in the gaps, as Josh said, and make them make tough decisions.
Josh, did you see a difference in Domantas when Przemic, I'm pretty sure I'm not pronouncing his first name right, when your big guy went down, did you notice a difference in just the way he's kind of attacked everything and gone about his business?
Honestly, no. Domantas comes to play every day. No matter who he's playing against, no matter who he's playing with, he's going to be the same guy. But with Przemic going down, created a ball opportunity for him, more playing time, and he took advantage of it, to say the least. And he's one of the best guys I've ever played with, and he makes it easy for me. So I'm glad this duo's keep going.
Anything else? Okay, we'll dismiss our student athletes at this time. Thank you, gentlemen. We have Gonzaga head coach Mark Few. Coach, congratulations on your win yesterday to advance. Talk a little bit about your matchup with Utah.
Well, you know, I've been able to see Utah a lot over the last couple years. It's born out of a tremendous amount of respect for Larry and just kind of how he does things. And so I usually, when I can, try to watch one of their games. And they've been very, very impressive this year. It's interesting. I think the teams are eerily similar. We love to run a lot of different sets and actions to, you know, get our bigs the ball where they can be successful. But then we also the other players are very, very capable of making plays and very critical to each of our team's success. And we like to mix it up on defense and change our coverages. And so they're a difficult one-day prep, that's for sure.
Thank you, Coach. Questions?
Post. What has DeMontis meant to you guys, especially with your big guy going out so early in the year?
He's meant absolutely everything. I mean, just everything to us. From his numbers he's delivering, and just how good he's been, and how incredibly efficient, and how consistent he's been. But also, just probably more important than all that, the fight that he brings. I mean, he's as toughest guy as I've ever coached. And, you know, the other thing that's been really, really critical for us, I mean, we had a lot of turnover with all, you know, those seniors leaving last year, and then with Shemek going down. To have a guy, you know, that is that good and that tough and that gifted, that just really, really wants to be coached and likes being coached and kind of craves it and just soaks it all up and seeks it out, I think that sends a really strong message to, you know, younger, inexperienced players that are kind of watching that, and especially as they see just how much he's improved over the course of not only 2 years, but gosh, just in the last 3 or 4 months.
Right here.
Coach, Eddie Pels with AP, I think you might have said that with Sabonis, like keeping him out of foul trouble was maybe the key thing. But however important it was, what was the key to working on that?
Oh, I mean, it's obviously it's a huge key for us. I mean, it's no secret our depth is at an all-time low, and it's critical that we have him out there on the floor as much as possible. But, you know, that being said, we survived foul trouble last night. We had some guys, Kyle Dranginas came in and played some really valuable minutes for us at the 4. We were finally able, Ryan Edwards is back moving around, and he you know, gave us some minutes in both halves. But playing with intelligence, you know, understanding when you can assert yourself, and there's occasionally some times where you need to probably back off. I mean, I'm big with Domus of really being preventive and keeping the ball out of there as much as possible, so it keeps himself out of foul trouble. And then luck. I mean, luck and refs, you know, hopefully get really smart officials that understand how good he is and how fundamental he is.
Let's go here first.
Carter Williams, Deseret News. Coach, you talked a little bit about seeing Utah in the past few years or so. What have you seen from their front court?
Again, just a great job of from the staff to the players of an understanding of getting the ball in the right places to the right people at the right time, and everybody understanding that and on the same page. Terrific development of players, especially those big kids while they're in the program, and then just a variety of coverages and different things that they can do defensively to you know, take advantage of their size, but also B, to protect them. They double and switch up their doubles and do different things with the zone that they run and things like that. That I think protects Pirtle also.
Over here.
Josh Furlong, KSL.com. Mark, you've talked about the similarities in these two teams. Yesterday, both teams had 20 turnovers. Larry talks about.
I don't think that sits good with either of us. I can't speak for Larry, but it doesn't with me.
Well, Larry talked about trying to go back to the fundamentals and trying to replicate that in practice. What is your approach in practice, especially with this one-day prep and being able to simulate that game environment?
Yeah, hey, I mean, again, our depth doesn't. There are a million things that I'd like to do in some of these practices, and gosh, when you try to take the assistant's point of view, and there's probably 10 million things that everybody wants to work on. With me, I've really had to take a step back with that, with our lack of bodies that we have, and how important rest and just getting these guys fresh for these games. So we just got to kind of work on their minds and hope that we take better care of the ball. I do think both of us played different type of teams that were more high risk defensively. And, so there was reward of getting pretty easy shots if you just could kind of get through that first wave. And, I think both, I don't know Fresno's percentages, but Seton Hall has a real tendency to turn guys over and kind of gamble and take chances. And I think ourselves and Utah are a little bit more conservative.
Coach Pat Kinahan, the Zone Sports Network in Salt Lake. These two programs have been very good for a number of years in the same basically region of the country, but yet you haven't played that much. Has there been any opportunity for you guys to play, get a contract or anything like that?
I mean, everybody always kind of asks that and goes there. There's been, a lot of good. Arizona's been great, and we've had home and home and situation with them. We had a home and home with Arizona and UCLA. I don't think, at least with our schedule, you can just load up and we need to play a national schedule, so we can't have just our home and homes are limited because our conference went to 18 games. So we got to be careful, with just playing the same teams from the same area region. But I think we've talked in the past, and I'm sure we'll talk more in the future if opportunities arise. But certainly I got tons and tons and tons of respect for them, and they have done it right. They got a 3 seed, so it doesn't look like they needed to schedule us this year.
You've had teams or coaches that you've coached against that have played Utah. Would you call on them in these situations, since it's a short preparation, to see if you can get any hints or anything like that?
Yeah, everybody does that. I mean, everybody in this whole industry, especially when you've been doing it, for a long time. We all have really great networks that you lean on at this time, and your assistants lean on, and absolutely. I got some great friends in that league, and so be crazy not to at least get their input.
Zach Brazil, New York Post. What's the matchup going to be like between the two big guys, both guys with NBA obvious ability, and both have a very versatile skill set?
Well, I mean, I think there's going to be that, but there's going to be both teams bringing help in a lot of different ways. It would be my guess, and so it'll be more about the other people that are coming and where they're coming from and how they're coming and how each of these guys react to that. I would guess it's going to be rare to see both of them one-on-one against each other for long stretches of time. Be fine by me.
Anything else? Okay, thank you for your time, Coach.